Hi, this is János, this is Real World Audio, and now I'm sharing the dimensions of the cabinet for the AO loudspeaker. So this is something of my own design. For those of you who don't know what this is, I give a little bit of an introduction, because that can always be helpful if this is your first time finding about this loudspeaker. If not, you already know what it is and you need the dimensions only. You can wind forward a few minutes for the actual dimensions. So this is a loudspeaker that I designed because I had these drivers. So these are TV speakers, and I also made car loudspeakers of this size. So that is a 6x9 oval loudspeaker. So this was typically used for cars and higher end TV consoles, like the Zenith TV console in which these drivers resided. And of course, before you completely discount these drivers, do not just discount all 6x9 drivers, because just as any driver of any other size, let's say 8-inch driver size or 12-inch driver size, in every driver size, for every application, there are junk drivers, they are okay drivers, and they are excellent, superb drivers. So as far as 6x9 drivers go, these are absolutely wonderful specimen that they've made them for these Zenith TV sets, and these are paper cone, not just simple paper, but a really nice, I don't know what it is, like something like a mesh paper, and with a visor cone, and it has a 16 ohms Alnico magnet inside. And I recommend this cabinet if you have 6x9 drivers. Most of them will most likely work extremely well for this cabinet, and you might want to build this cabinet if your music listening taste is geared towards something like piano. So these cabinets with this driver just provide excellent piano sound. Not as loud as a real grand piano, you will have to enjoy it a few dBs quieter, but I dare contest anyone with any kind of loudspeaker will not be able to exactly replicate a grand piano. So if that's your purpose, just purchase yourself a grand piano. If not, then just boldly go where a few men have gone before, and you can build yourself a cabinet just like this. So let's just see the measurements. I will give you the measurement of each of the panels that I use for this cabinet. So first I will give you the measurements for the side panel. So this is the panel that goes on the side. So the measurement of this is 28.2 centimeters. That's the depth, right? And the height is 73.3 centimeters. So just cut a board like that. Before I go any further, what I have done here, everything is 3/4 inch wood. So if let's go calculate it in millimeters, that's 19 millimeter. And if you get 18 millimeter or 19, it doesn't matter, it will work very well. So basically everything that I mention here is 19 millimeters thick, and the sides that I use, the side panels, they are mahogany, and the rest, the front and the internals, actually the front, the top and the bottom are pine wood, those are pine, and these are plywood. So these are 1/2 inch plywood, the internal baffle, 1/2 inch ply the bottom, the port panel, and also 1/2 inch ply the back side. And if you want, you can use pine for all of them, don't worry about that. And now let's continue. So the front panel, the width of the front panel is 18.5 centimeters. The height of the front panel, so from here to the very top, it goes to the very edge, it is 65.5 centimeters. And then let's look from the side. So when you look at the inner baffle, I call this the inner baffle. So the height of this panel is 55.8 centimeters. And of course the depth, I mean the width, that's 18.5 centimeters. So everything that's in this frame, that's the width, is 18.5 for the front, for the inner baffle, for the rear panel, and also there, that's the port, top port panel, that's also 18.5 inch wide. So everything on the inside is 18.5 wide. So now, next panel, the bottom port panel. Of course, it's 18.5 times 12.8. So it's 12.8 centimeters from here to there. And this panel sits on the bottom, and this, the inner baffle, sits on top of the port panel. And we have this little eyelet, I call it mounting piece, and the mounting piece is glued to this inner baffle, and then you can also glue it to the bottom port. So these guys are just glued together, and the dimension of this piece is not critical. I'm just giving it because I'm just giving the exact dimensions for this speaker, this unit. You can do better than that or worse, it's your choice. And it is, let's see, where did I write it down? So it's 8 centimeters high, so the height is 8.0, and times 19 millimeters, so it's like 19 and 19, because it was from a 3/4 inch piece, that's what I cut it from, and times 2, one here, one there, and of course you need to double it if you want a pair of speakers. Now I have the same thing here, and this is a little shorter. I cut this to 6.7 centimeters. That's the height. So that was 8 and that's 6.7. And here, if you can see it, I also beveled it. So you can you see it there? So it is beveled. So what I'm saying is it's not a square piece, but it's been cut. And don't worry about the exact angle, just bevel it. And you can do the same thing for the bottom piece. You can do a little bit of beveling there. Yes. Anyway, so now let's continue. The bottom piece, it goes from the very edge here and continues up to the very front. So it meets the front plane. And that piece is bottom panel 26 centimeters, 26.0 long. The length is, which is actually the depth of the loudspeaker. So the depth is 26.0, and of course it's 18.5 centimeters wide. And when you look at the back panel, the back is sitting on top of the bottom. So the bottom plate comes from beginning to where it meets the panel. But when we look at the other side, it doesn't go to the very edge. You see there is some space. So this thing slants inside, and the bottom panel doesn't reach the exact bottom here. If you want to make it reach, it doesn't matter, you can. It won't make any difference whatsoever. Now, what I have not given yet, have I given the rear panel's height? I think not yet. So the height of it is 71.3 centimeters. So here mine comes a little bit short. So it's 3 millimeters short, so mine is 71.0. But if you do build it 71.3, and then it will come flush to the top, and you will have an easier time mounting it to the back. So for me it became short because that was the piece that I had, and it was barely enough. But if I could choose again, I would choose something that's 3 millimeters higher. So 71.3 times 18.5 wide. What else? So the last piece that I have not given yet is this trapezoid piece on the bottom that helps to mount the port. So this port on the back is mounted through that mounting piece, helps to mount it to the back. And I used that for a little extra stability. You don't want to put a screw from the bottom here going up, because you see in a plywood it will just crack the layers apart. When you have plywood, you never want to put screws in like this into a plywood, because that would just damage the layers. So that's why I glued it here. And here the same thing, I glued it on the top, and on the front actually I think I have glued it, and I also put in some screws as well to help the glue set in. And I did put in the screw because this is, well, actually even if you make the front plywood, you can still put a screw in to help. It's not a problem. Because when you glue pieces together, it's going to be as good as you can clamp these pieces on. So the glue has to set in with a lot of pressure applied on it. And with this trapezoid paste, there's no way to apply pressure because it's really slanted, and if you apply pressure it will just move away. So you really need to just glue it, and then put a screw in after you glue it, and that screw will hold it in place, so the glue can just become strong there. So this piece, the front of this trapezoid was a 3/4 inch piece of wood. It was a sheet, it was a panel. It's 18.5 centimeters wide, and this top bit is, let's see, how big was that? 2.2 centimeters. So the front face of it here 2.2, and the rear face is 5.5 centimeters. So cut it like that size, and if it happens to be 1 or 2 millimeters off, do not worry about it. I think how I did it was that these are just 45-degree angles, and if you can set like 5.5 centimeters, 45-degree angles beveled, and make two pieces. My only recommendation is that this piece and the piece for the other cabinet, they just should be the same. If it's tiny bit different from my recommendation, as long as it can hold together the front and the bottom, it's good. So what I recommend is keep it like 5.5 centimeters for this dimension, or a little bit longer. You can go as big as 6 centimeters. You will be fine. Don't go any shorter because it will be too short to match to the front faceplate. In that case, if you did that, then you either have to redo this or make the front plate longer, which I don't recommend because then you will narrow down the port. So I think now we have all the dimensions except a few more things. The distance for the port between the bottom panel and the port piece. So the distance here is 2.5 centimeters. So that's the height of the gap. So that's the port's gap. And so this is what gives the mass loading, because we could call this loudspeaker actually mass loaded transmission line, because this is like a transmission line here, and that provides, the port provides the mass loading. However, in my previous episode I didn't call it MLTL because this is not your typical mass loaded transmission line box. So anyway, but we could call it a mass loaded transmission line, or you could also call it a TQWP, which is like a tapered quarter wavelength pipe, or tapered quarter wavelength loudspeaker, TQWL. But that would not fit either, because for the TQWP you have like the different tapering for the inside, and that doesn't fit, and also there you don't have a mass loading in the bottom, so this does not qualify as a quintessential TQVP either. And so that's why I was a little bit cryptic in my previous video what kind of loudspeaker this is, because it does fit a lot of categories, but it doesn't exactly fit any of them either. So this was 2.5 centimeter for the gap here, and then the distance between here and the back. So that distance right there, from, what was it? I have to look for it. Which one was that? I think I just better measure it again. So the distance there was 8.4 centimeters. So between here and there, that's 8.4 centimeters. I call it distance between port panel and rear panel, 8.4 centimeters. And now there's two more. One of them is the distance between here and the top. So the distance between the baffle and the top is 11.0 centimeters. And there's one last dimension you want to know about, and that is the distance between the center of your driver and the top of the front panel. So basically how you can mount the driver is that you find the space, like exactly the center of the panel, that will be so it's not offset in any direction, it's exactly in the center, and from the very top to the center where you have to drill is 16.0 centimeters. And then how big your mounting hole is, well, for every loudspeaker there comes a data sheet, and they show you exactly how big a cutout you need to cut out for your driver to be able to mount the driver in your cabinet. If not, then just have a look at it and just see where the mounting screws are, and these must remain, those areas, and make the hole big enough so that the inner parts of the driver, they fit in and nothing sticks out. So it must go in flush, but don't cut the hole too big. If you cut it too big, you need a new front piece and you need to start that part again. So I think that's all of the dimensions, and then maybe let's just put it here. So is it visible? Maybe, maybe not. And that's it. So thank you for listening, and happy loudspeaker building. Bye bye.